everybody, today we are having Lost from Ultrakill. Be honest, I did from my YouTube career, if you will, I did expect to pull like 0 to 10 views, but I pulled 60 from the first video and like 45 from the second. Even though they did have basically 0 activity on them, which I think is fair. It is still a lot more than I expected. And I did hear that nowadays YouTube has problems with like content hours created to content hours consumed ratio. That basically there is not enough content per viewer to like be able to push new stuff. So YouTube started to push smaller creators a lot more recently compared to before. At least I heard this like a year or 2 years ago, I think, in like 2023, I guess. And it was partly the reason why I decided to try starting a channel. Well, first of all, why not? But second of all is if it is gonna get pushed even a little bit extra by YouTube because it has no content hours to push, it's always just a W for me in the end. It is basically free advertisement if YouTube just pushes smaller channels more. But let's be real, in my case, neither editing nor the content quality isn't like all that deserving to be pushed all that hard. And I think that this going to show eventually. I'm pretty sure YouTube will, well, maybe it already did, but I'm pretty sure YouTube will just start recommending my videos less and less to people compared to like flashier, bigger videos and stuff like that. Specifically because I do not really pull in all that much clout, all that many hours and stuff like that. Because let's be real, my videos will probably have a much worse retention metrics compared to like the loud and flashy MrBeast type videos, but it is what it is for me. At the end of the day, I am the guy to get humiliated on Lost 1, or it is already Lost 2, on Lost 2, because I do not have the skill that usually you should have if you're not a beginner player and decide to make content on Ultrakill. But I don't care. I love this game and I will just play it into my enjoyment and make a video out of it. Maybe I will entertain someone. Maybe I will inspire someone. Who knows? If I can make a YouTube channel and make a YouTube channel, then you can too. Anyway. An important talking point for me is what the content is going to be about, because let's be real, I am still figuring it out. And for now, the idea is to keep going through Ultrakill, and after that, I'm not so sure. Or even in the middle of that, because I'm not sure if I should finish the series on Ultrakill before making anything else. I probably actually shouldn't, because YouTube will eventually just end up marking me as Ultrakill channel. Or at least I do think it is a possibility for the algorithm to do it, which is also not the best look for me, because I'm not going to be an Ultrakill only channel. Though I hope you do enjoy this series, because I think there is something about a random guy talking on a random topic while playing a game, like Ultrakill for example. Or a girl, I don't know. It is a thing of preference after all. In my case, as I said before, I was inspired by Linguini's channel, and Linguini is an Ultrakill YouTuber, so in his case, his videos are Ultrakill gameplay only. And again, to be honest, there was a relatively recent video on his channel recorded by his girlfriend where she played Slime Rancher, so it was partly an inspiration source for me advertising, or planning to advertise Slime Rancher as a likely candidate for the next game. Or instead I might actually do something a tad bit more brave and explore a game I don't really know well enough to at least know what the hell is going on. For instance, how about Factorio? I'm not sure if the game is any relevant nowadays, especially without the space DLC. Yeah, I know, that stinks, but I usually only have the base game without any DLCs. And frankly, if you want to sell a DLC as a game developer, I genuinely believe that you should be confident that the game itself is good enough so that people want to get extra content for it before you can sell any DLC. Good examples are like Elden Ring or Doom Eternal. There are probably a bunch more, but these two are just the ones surfacing first in my head as like good games with DLCs, because they have a lot of quality content in them, and the DLCs are like actually big enough to make an impact. I think Factorio's DLC is good enough in this regard too. I'm not sure how the DLC itself compares to the base game. I'm not sure how big it is, but I'm pretty sure it is fairly big actually. I didn't play enough Factorio to know how far the game goes with or without the DLC. If I remember right, the DLC basically either expands or basically adds a new layer of the endgame. Nicely done there. I did just nearly kill myself. This time that didn't happen. And we are done with the first 3 levels. Now, I do tend to die painfully many times on like the dumbest parts of 2-4, specifically on the hand, which a lot of people consider to be like relatively easy. I just find it confusing, mainly because it's actually not that easy to read in my opinion. For that matter, Minos himself is a fairly straightforward boss. The only thing I don't like is the black hole, but I mean, it is there to make you move at least a little bit if you are trying to parry his punches. So it also makes sense. But yeah, as I mentioned before, a very likely next game will be Slime Rancher, and I'm thinking maybe some like factory building games. Told you I will die a lot, like an idiot. Maybe some like factory building games. Specifically, I'm thinking of either Factorio or Mindustry. I also have Satisfactory, but my system right now is probably the weakest it's been in the past 5 years, 7 years, I'm not sure. It is like not a strong computer. It is a Vivo book. So I can only do so much gaming. And if it is an Unreal 5, an Unreal Engine 5 game, there is a very high possibility that I will be just either barely able or unable to play it properly. But I did think of one thing to make games more bearable on my side, which is to play in 720p. Which sounds diabolical, but I mean, if you're fighting for like your FPS being in double digit on minimal settings, it kind of is the only way. And frankly, Windows 11 doesn't really allow to set the display settings much lower. Unless there is an outside add-on or mod or something to make Windows basically emulate a smaller display over your display. I think it is possible to like force the game to play in 480p. Or at least I hope it is. I'm not sure. Though I do think that it might also be interesting to play a game that's supposed to run in 480p. Whether I mean like some old games. Because I do have 2 licenses on old games, specifically old Doom, which is now Doom 1 plus Doom 2. I used to only have Doom 1, but now I have both. Or something else like man, what's it called? It is. Right. OpenXCom, which is an alien catching strategy, which I can't imagine being interesting for the YouTube content actually. I mean, it was interesting for me to watch a few videos on it. About it, not the gameplay actually. Because, I mean, it is a turn-based strategy. A turn-based strategy is as boring as you can go in a content making sphere, I think. Especially an old one. Like XCOM was a good game for its times, but the standards have changed, I think. Though it does have a few like funny things that you can abuse. Like the game's RNG isn't actually random, so you can just reload the save and tweak a few things to change the way the RNG is going to progress. But anyway, 5 deaths on Minos. A shame, in my opinion. But that's about it for today's video. Thank you for tuning in and watching. Hope to see you next time, and like, comment, and sub. See you later.